update on Annie Knight.
So I've seen online that someone by the name of Annie Knight are coming to the Gold Coast for schooling.
And Annie Knight are getting deported from Fiji.
Unhinged.
So unhinged.
Hey guys, they were talking about Annie Knight, who has been labelled Australia's most promiscuous woman.
This shit unhinged?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Annie Knight Unhinged. If you're wondering where I am right now, I'm actually in Dubai in a recording studio with my mother because we are filming for an OFTV series, which is a bit exciting. Some people might be wondering why mum's coming on an OFTV show.
I am not doing.
No. But we are filming a travel show, essentially. It's called Annie Knight Travels with My Mother. And we've been doing some really fun stuff here in Dubai. Do you want to tell them what we've been up to?
Basically everything you can do in Dubai, I think. We've done the zip line at 80 k's an hour. We have been out on a yacht. We've done a beautiful dinner in the desert. We have ridden camels and crazy cars that everyone thought they were going to die in.
Yeah, four-wheel driving.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been fun. I'm really excited for the series to come out. But yeah, I'm so excited that you're here with us. I've got so many questions for you. I have asked my followers questions for you. So I think we should just get into it because I think this is going to be a long episode.
Okay, look, I know the followers' questions will be a bit mean maybe.
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
Okay.
So I kind of want to start at the beginning. This is sort of what I do with a lot of my guests. I want to know, I want people listening to understand, you know, how I am the way I am, how you are the way you are, why you raised me the way you have. So I want to start back at the beginning and know a bit about like your childhood and how you were raised.
It was a fairly strict childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I was either at school or dancing school. I
Mhm.
don't remember actually ever playing. So it was very strict.
Yeah.
And my mum was very strict
Mhm.
and I was a really good girl. I never did anything
The
wrong.
definition of a goody two shoes.
Absolutely. The biggest goody two shoes.
Mhm.
Whereas my sister, I feel sorry for her because she was a bit naughty and would get into trouble.
Oh.
But I would make it up by being the best.
Yeah, okay. And you grew up quite poor as well.
Yes. So mum and dad, really, really, really poor. They had shocking lives. I feel like it's some kind of Netflix show. That's how bad it was. But they were determined to give their children a better life. So they worked incredibly hard, like 3-4 jobs at a time, so that we could have a better life and that I could go to ballet school and go to a Catholic girls' school and do all the things that they'd wanted for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what were you like during high school?
I was so good. I was just an angel. Well, I mean, the nuns loved me.
The nuns. That's how long ago it was. There was nuns.
There were nuns.
teaching.
And I did nothing wrong. Yeah, I was like an angel. I got 100% marks. I was just, I don't know, that girl.
Yeah, try hard. No, I'm kidding. So after you left high school, what did you sort of do for work?
Okay, so I think to begin with, I was at a nightclub and someone kind of came up and said, you'd make a model.
Right.
And so I did. I was like, really? And then they scooped me off to an agency, and before I knew it.
Yeah, it was a good agency too, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Chadwick's or something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was like the full on, it wasn't a
No, not just
sneaky place. And all of a sudden I was a model, just like that. So that was what I did. I went to uni for a while I did it.
What did you study?
Psychology.
Okay.
And yeah, that's kind of what I did.
And then, so you ended up running your own business.
Mhm.
So how did you go from there to that, from a model to a business owner?
Mum and dad, part of how they built up their income was they worked in retail, or not worked in, they owned retail businesses. And I was kind of maybe born into it or something because it all came naturally to me. And so I was given an opportunity and I just grabbed it and grew it and grew it and grew it. And it was a really successful business.
Yeah, it was what was it?
It was like a clearance outlet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was before clearance outlets.
This was years and years and years ago when I was just a little kid.
Yes, and people would come from everywhere.
Yeah, I remember.
To come to my clearance outlet.
It was always busy in the store. I used to work there sometimes for free.
You did. But
I loved it though.
It's one of the things I think about you having a business mind.
Yeah.
I feel like it came from my mum. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, sorry, Pop.
Yeah, but it did. And I had it and now you have it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got really good attributes from both you and Dad because Dad has, you know, the mathematical brain and the financial brain, and then you've got sort of more the business-minded brain. So it's a good combo.
I agree.
Yeah, I want to bring this up because I think it's relevant, but you're probably going to hate me for it. So Mum has had like a lot of relationships throughout her life. We've spoken about this a lot.
It's not that bad.
It's pretty bad. It's like
What do you
12.
mean?
That's like a lot. 12's a lot.
Boyfriends.
And did we find out it was more once we added in your marriages?
Boyfriends.
Yeah,
like,
but it's
hasn't everyone had 12
Mum,
boyfriends?
I've had one.
But that's extreme, I feel like.
I don't know. Anyway, I just think it's funny because like I think like where you are now, Mum's sort of like in her like living her best life era and has sort of taken on a bit of my approach into life, which I think is fun, which is like you're living life for yourself and like if the right person comes along, then great. But like, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's funny because I've always been super independent. I feel like you've always been quite dependent.
Because I've always had a boyfriend.
Always had a boyfriend. But whereas like I sort of went down the other path of being too independent and not needing anyone else. And I don't know, it's just been fun like watching you sort of go into this era of your life.
Yes. And I'm loving it because you're right. And not out of choice, which sounds really odd, but it was just like I always had a boyfriend or a husband.
Which, yeah, brings me to my next question. So when and how did you meet my dad?
My sister set us up.
Yeah.
Because they worked together. So that's kind of how we met.
And then how long after that did you guys get married?
Oh, I don't think it was a long courtship. Maybe, I don't know, a year or something.
Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really remember that bit.
And then you guys were married, what, 10 years?
Yes,
Yeah.
10 years.
And then you got divorced when I was 7. Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah. And then that's when you got remarried.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going to fill in the blanks a little bit because, yeah, then you got remarried, were married for 20 years, and then now you're getting a divorce.
Yes.
Yes. And now you're just single, happy, living your best life.
Yes.
But I want to take it back a little bit because you gave birth to Mitch first, my brother, and then 18 months later you had me.
Yeah.
What was I like as a baby?
Needy.
Needy?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
I told you before, you know, when, like, I think the ADHD started maybe when you were a baby because you didn't want to sleep. And I was like, Mitch used to sleep all the time. I thought I'd have one baby and the next to be the same. And I was like, what the hell? What happened? Why doesn't this baby sleep like the other baby?
Yeah. I feel like when kids sort of turn 4, you sort of start to see their personality a little bit. So when I turned 4, were you like scared for your life?
You were always so bossy, I swear.
Yeah,
As soon
always.
as you could walk, you were telling
People
your
what.
older brother what to do, pushing him out of the car, just ruling the world, ruling the kindergarten. I still remember
Yeah.
you ruled the kindergarten.
I did. I had 4 boyfriends. We're
And
all
there
plotting
was-
our escape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that very clearly. I wanted to go get the South Melbourne dim sims. That was the reward for escaping. We had our little buckets and every day we'd go to the side of the fence and start digging to get out of the kindergarten.
And you wanted what you wanted. Like, I hadn't seen that before. Yeah. And so you just would kind of demand things. And if I didn't give in, you'd get your way anyway.
Yeah, Mum always said I should be a lawyer because I could like
Yeah.
just convince anyone to.
I did say once when you're
Oh,
about
yeah.
7 that you would either be prime minister or a tabletop dancer.
And I kind of went down the tabletop dancer route.
Yes, which is pretty funny.
I do think it's funny though bringing up the kindergarten me trying to escape thing, because like that's sort of how I felt throughout life. I always felt trapped by like the machine, so to
Yes.
speak. When I was in school, I always felt like I was trapped because I was being told what to do and when to do it and what I had to do with my life. And then once I left school, it felt like this like huge like release. I was like, I'm free finally. I get to do what I want. And then I went into work in an office and I hated it.
still
And I was
trapped.
back in the trap.
Yeah.
And then the second I got fired, it was like I was free again. And it's just, it's been the best feeling being free since then. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I want to talk about, I guess, my teenage years and what I was like throughout them, because the way I describe myself is like nightmare dressed like a daydream. Like I looked all like perfect and innocent, but then behind the scenes, I was like the biggest brat.
Shocking. You were so mean to me.
I was, but I feel like it's a rite of passage for a mother and a daughter.
I agree, and I do know that.
Mm.
And so you had kind of some eating issues, and apparently one of the side effects of that is that you take it out on your mum.
Yeah.
And so you did.
Yeah. I had an eating disorder. I've spoken about that before.
Yeah, and so you really did take it out on me.
Yeah. It's like, you know, they always say you take things out on the people you love the most.
Yeah.
And you were obviously the closest to me. So yeah, that was sort of like a...
But you did. Like, you looked perfect. You had the perfect life. We would have these amazing parties for you, your birthday parties.
But I was like never happy.
No, it didn't matter how good the party was, how good you looked.
I was a perfectionist. I still am. And so I feel like I was always chasing that perfection and there was nothing that could make me feel happy. And, you know, now I know that perfection doesn't equal happiness. But back then I thought it did.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, not in a good place. So once I finished uni, I then went on to do, what did I do? No, once I finished school, I went on to do science at Melbourne Uni.
Yep.
Was that like for you, were you like, oh, finally, she's like got her life on track?
I was frightened.
Why?
Because it's a lot of pressure. Medicine
Yeah.
is a lot of pressure. And I didn't think that it would be good for you.
Mm.
I know most people were like, oh, yay, look at her.
Yeah.
She's just got into medicine. I wasn't. I was like, oh.
Yeah, like she's just finished school and she put so much pressure on herself and now she's got to go and do it again.
This is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
From day one.
So then I obviously stopped doing science and then went into marketing, got a job at the pub. And I feel like that's when you really saw me sort of come out of my shell.
Yeah, absolutely. Working at that pub, I can still remember how shy you were. And you, I don't know, you just grew.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. I think because I've been sheltered, I've been at a private all-girls Catholic school for 13 years. And I just remember when I left school and went to uni for the first day, I was so shocked at how different the outside world was, that there were so many people living in different ways than I had been. And like, it was a shell shock. It took me ages to realize that there was this whole outside world that I'd just been sheltered from my whole life.
Yes.
And then when I started working at the pub, I got to interact with all these different types of people from different walks of life every day. And it really like opened me up and I became a lot more confident and
It was amazing.
yeah.
It really made such a difference.
Yeah. And then I sort of went into my partying phase.
Yeah.
From 19 to 21, I think that was.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a wild time. What were your thoughts at that stage?
Look, we've all been through a partying stage.
Yeah.
But some of the things, you know, the times when you would arrive home and leave the door open and
yeah, I was like, oh, like there was one time it was very innocent. I fell asleep in the Uber because I was like passed out.
Yeah, the prison bit, yeah.
And so I woke up at the police station. I thought I'd done something wrong. So I was like crying. I was like, I didn't mean to. It wasn't me. And then they called mum and then, she had to come and get me at 3 a.m. and she was like more worried about, she was like, anything could happen to you. The Uber driver could have done something to you.
It's still my concern. It still plays on my mind.
But I don't really do that anymore.
No. I worry about what he did.
Oh, I don't. He took me to the police station. Okay. I think he was a pretty good guy.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So then I sort of came out of my partying phase, got my job in marketing, and at that point, what were you thinking?
she seems fairly happy. As long as you were happy. But I did feel like something wasn't right. It wasn't, you weren't happy heading off to work every day. Which
No,
I understand.
I don't know if many people can say that they are.
No.
And then sort of it was while I was working in that job. I don't know if you remember this, but I told you that I'd started doing OnlyFans at the end of 2020.
No.
I remember coming into your room and I remember very clearly. I came into your bedroom and the reason I told you is because my content was getting shared around. And I came in and I said, Mum, look, I've started an OnlyFans. I've stopped posting now because my content's been leaked and I am going to stop doing it.
Okay, so I possibly didn't know what OnlyFans was.
I did tell you. I said it's explicit content, so nudes and stuff like that.
I've been listening.
Seems like an important thing to maybe listen to.
Because I swear
No,
I didn't know what it was.
I did tell you that. I said it was explicit
and I
content.
thought it was just boys from the matching boys' private Catholic school
Yeah, it was.
who had found footage of you or taken footage of you and were sharing it around. That was what I thought.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
So, no, they got it from my
I didn't know
OnlyFans.
that.
And then I did stop doing it for a little while.
Okay.
But then 6 months later, I started it back and I didn't tell you that part.
Okay.
But anyway, I just wanted to know, I haven't asked you that, whether you remember that or not, because I get asked a lot whether, like, when I told you. And
I really absolutely don't remember.
yeah, okay. So then I moved to Brisbane,
Yes.
and hated it. And then do you want to, I think I've told this story before, but do you want to tell everyone how you actually found out about me doing OnlyFans?
I was getting prepared to go overseas, so I was at a doctor and I was bored, opened up my phone and I was looking at the news and I was like, why is my daughter on the news? And it was mainstream news.
Yeah,
So
it's
I was like, why?
Channel 7, I think.
Yeah, it was, absolutely. And so I went in and started reading. I swear I still didn't know what OF meant.
What was the headline?
Oh, it was something like a man had asked you to do something or
Oh, I thought it was the one where it was like Annie Knight got fired from doing OnlyFans.
Oh, maybe a bit of that
And then the other one,
But yes. And you got fired and there was a whole little story about it. And I remember kind of having a bit of a panic attack and saying to the family, we're not staying for the rest of the injections. Let's just go.
Didn't know this bit.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Did you end up going back for your injections? I'm worried about
We
that.
had to because
Okay.
we went overseas. And I don't even know what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. Like, what was going through your mind?
I don't think I could.
Yeah,
Does
but
that
like,
make sense?
yeah, but what were you thinking about? Like, what was going on in your head?
What is she doing? Why hasn't she told me? Is she safe? She's going to get killed. Someone will stalk her. And what is her future going to look like?
Yeah.
That was another thing. You know, if she's doing this and it fails, what happens? You're not going to go back and get a job in marketing or go back to uni. It was that kind of thing. It was about your future.
And so, like, how has your perspective changed now compared to how you were thinking about it then?
Well, I've learned so much. I mean, now that I know everything, know the truth. I mean, I was really worried about your safety, and sometimes I still am.
Yeah.
Like I do worry about stalkers.
Same. I think I'm quite vigilant though.
I know, but I do still worry about stalkers.
Yeah.
And not just stalkers, like killer stalkers. And I'm not so much worried about your future because you invest and invest and invest. And if the wheels fell off tomorrow, you would be set for life.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that side of it. I, of course, was worried about your safety sexually, etc. And I understand that too now. What else was I worried about? Oh, and just your future in general. Like people would say, mean people would say to me, oh, she'll never get married. She'll never meet anyone. She'll never have a baby. She'll never. And, you know, what would I say to the mean people?
Yeah.
Just roll my eyes.
I think like the funny thing about that is like people put such an emphasis on like getting married as if that's the most important thing in life. And sure, like experiencing love is definitely something that everyone should have the chance to experience.
But a lot of them get divorced anyway.
And I think like
So-
there's just so much more in life that's so important, like living a
Absolutely.
fulfilling, loving life. Like I have so many loving people in my life.
Yes.
I want kids really badly, but guess what? I have the money to do it by myself.
There's
I
that
don't
too.
need a
I
man
agree.
to do that, to fill
It's a
that
different
role.
world.
So yeah, I do think that that's quite interesting that that's everyone's first thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember after 2 weeks you finally picked up the phone and let me speak to you, and I sort of like I sort of eased your concerns, I think. And you were still uncertain for sure, but I think to hear my plan, and I remember telling you, I'm like, Mum, I'm going to make 100K a month. Like I'm going to start making 100K a month. Just watch me. It's going to happen. And you were sort of like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, whatever. And then, you know, it took me, I think, like 2 years to really get that ball rolling, but then it did. And now we're here. And I am quite vigilant when it comes to stalkers and stuff like that and my privacy. Like I never really post on the day. I never,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yes,
So
yes.
I tend to like release my vlogs after I've left that location just to make sure people can't figure out where I'm staying or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to know, like, how has it been? Obviously, I said to you all those years ago, like, this is what I'm going to do. This is my goals. These are my dreams. How's it been as a mother, like, watching me achieve those dreams?
Well, I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I gave you a card once that said,
Yeah.
the world is your oyster.
Yeah, I framed it and it's on my wall in my study.
And that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. And I love that you are achieving your dreams. I love that you are tougher than I am or was or will ever be, actually. And I've loved watching that change. People who didn't know you don't understand.
No. And I think, like, I often think people that I'm not friends with or don't know personally anymore, I wonder what they must think, because knowing the old me that was so insecure and so anxious and, you know, so shy, like, are they just watching me now going like, who is she? Has she, like, do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
often think about that because I'm just such a completely different person. My core values are the same and like
Yes.
all my beliefs are the same, but like I've just come out of my shell so much more and I'm just so much more confident and yeah.
And that's all come from belief in yourself.
Yes, for sure. I don't know when my self-belief started, but at some point in my life, I was like, I'm backing myself in and I'm going to do what I want to do. But yeah, I want to get into some follower questions.
Here we go.
So the first one is, why do you still love me as a mother despite what I do for work?
Oh, sorry. I keep forgetting this is a question from someone.
This isn't me, yeah.
Oh, thank God. I'm your mother. Of course I love you. Like, how can I not love you?
Yeah.
Like, who says that?
Yeah, it's so interesting. You'd be really shocked to find out how many mothers disown their children after they find out
Really?
about them doing sex work. Yeah.
I cannot, I just cannot fathom. It's like, imagine, I don't know, if you found out your child, I don't know, had something wrong with them, or if they were a serial killer or something. They're still your child. You still love them.
Yeah.
They're your child.
Yeah.
If you can't love them.
And it's just like something so minuscule as like what you do for work that
Yes.
isn't, I think Henry might have said this on when he came on, but you know, it's not who I am as a person. That's just my job. Like
It's
that's
your
my
job.
work.
Yeah.
I'm a good person. You've raised me to be caring and kind and, you know, generous. And those are the values that matter the most, not what I do for work. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Is it hard for you socially because of my job?
I have had issues. I've spoken to you about a few mothers who met up with me for lunch and I thought they were being really nice.
Oh,
And after we kind of sat for a bit and had a bit of a chat, what was the question? It was, so is it like a pyramid scheme? Does she go and get schoolgirls and get them to join? And I was like,
What the frick? That's insane.
yeah, it was such an insult. I was so
Such
angry.
an insult.
I was so angry.
And how dare they like catch up for coffee to, they obviously just wanted gossip or.
Oh, it was all about the gossip.
Yeah.
I mean, as you would know, private
Yeah.
Catholic girls' school in Melbourne. I'm imagining that you are all the talk.
Talk of the town.
Yeah, yeah.
What did you say? You're not a
Well,
very confrontational person.
I am not. I hate confrontation, so I will do anything not to.
Whereas I am.
I know, which I love. But I just said, what? Like, no, of course not.
Yeah.
Like, that's just madness. I don't
So
know what
insane.
she thought. She
Where
had
the frick did she get that
visions
from?
Of you going back to school and finding the prettiest girl.
Like, what on
what?
earth?
I know.
That's insane.
It was such an insult.
I think a lot
to
of
me
it,
and to you.
all these assumptions, like even to be honest, you know, your first assumptions when you found out about it, it's like it's just fed to us through like the media or like
Yes.
it's just this like societal like viewpoint on
Yes.
on sex work that we get fed throughout our lives. It's like no one really knows the truth about it until you really start researching and finding it out from the people that are working in the sex work. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the other thing I have learned a lot about, and I understand more. And I think once you said to me, Mum, you were really judgy when I was young.
Yeah.
And I was.
Not necessarily
Not
to me.
mean,
Not
no.
and not to me, but more to other people.
And I'm not, because I understand.
Yeah. You're definitely not now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not at all.
No.
No,
not at all.
you don't judge
And
anyone.
I resent people who
Are judgmental.
judge people for whatever they do.
Yeah.
Because whatever you choose to do in life, if that's what you want, you do it.
Yeah. As long as it's not harming anyone.
Oh, yeah. Except for
People always love to add that in there. So I thought I would add that in there. They're like, well, what if you were killing people and that makes you happy? It's like, well, obviously that's a bit extreme. Okay, this is a really good question. As a mother, what was the hardest thing to watch me experience in my life? So at any point in my life.
Oh, the anorexia.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And anyone who has not experienced that will never understand. And the people, the mothers out there who have, will be sitting there going, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it really was, I can't describe, going that day and you had the low blood pressure and the hair and the cold and the
Yeah, with when mum says the hair, she means so when you're anorexic and you're malnourished, you get this like really thin coat of hair all over your body, and it's your body's reaction to try and keep you warm because you've got no body fat. It's like an evolutionary thing almost.
Absolutely.
To protect your survival thing.
And the fear that people die.
People die.
And, and my refusal to let you go into a place.
What's it called? When you get sectioned or you get sent into a
you just learn things.
So yeah, that actually was probably the best thing you ever did was not let me go into. I've heard so many stories since as I've gotten older from people going into those, what are they called? Like institutions with other people who have eating disorders, and you just learn tricks of the trade,
Absolutely.
And it's not good because you end up coming out with knowing more about how to lose weight or whatever.
Just wasn't happening.
And then it becomes because anorexia is a very competitive disease. Like people don't realize that you're constantly like comparing yourself to other people and you have to be the skinniest and all of that. Like that's sort of the way your brain goes. So, if anything, it would encourage you to be like the skinniest in the.
And it was hard. I mean, that meant I took you to every single appointment, and I can still remember taking you out of school and taking you to the mall myself, and sometimes they weren't successful, and a lot of times, and you would yell at me, but that's not the thing that was the worst. The thing that was the worst was watching my daughter suffer.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
You could take anything from me.
Yeah.
I would give anything for that not to have happened to you.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like, had to go through it to get to where we are now, and I'm in such a healthy space at the moment.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but yeah, anorexia is horrible. Wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy.
No.
Are you hoping to have grandchildren from me one day?
Yes.
Yes.
And I know I will.
Okay, someone asked you, what's the meaning of life?
Pardon?
What's the meaning of life? What do you think the meaning of life is?
I find that an odd question. So,
Okay.
is that like a religious question?
No, it's like what do you think our purpose is? Like we're given a life, like
I think I know what it should be. We should live the best life we can live.
yeah, perfect. That's the right answer.
Oh, there's a right and wrong. I believe that like so fully, and I really believe it, and not just that, but I think that we should also be good to other people.
Mm.
It's not just about living your best life.
Yeah, yes.
It's about living the best life and having empathy and caring for others and doing as much as you can for other people.
Okay,
That's mine.
I love that answer. And this next question sort of this rolls into it. How do you think you have influenced my life?
Look, I think I've made some mistakes, as all mothers have.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that most of your childhood, I was a businesswoman,
Mm-hmm.
A mother who would do anything for her child,
Mm-hmm.
literally
Yeah.
anything for her child. And people talk about that about me. They kind of almost make fun of it. It's like,
Yeah.
yep, she'll cut someone's head off
Yeah, yeah.
for their child. And maybe that having your mother love you is such an important thing. And I think that each mother, each parent learns more.
Yeah.
So there are things that happened in my childhood that I have done everything I can to not let happen to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And maybe I've gone too extreme the other way. But you will learn from me and my mistakes. And I have made mistakes, and I'm so sorry for them.
But I think
hate that.
the reality is also I also will make mistakes. Like I can only learn from my experience with you. And so there's things, yeah, of course, everyone thinks like, oh, there's things my mother's did with me that I wouldn't do with my children. But then I'm sure there's something that I'll do to my children. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Yes.
you can't win. And there's always going to be things, people make mistakes. It's
And
like
trauma bonding
and
is a
you,
real
you know,
thing.
you were a great mum. Like you say you made mistakes. I'm like, what mistakes is she talking about?
Oh,
So like you know what I mean?
so many mistakes.
But-
I'm so sorry for them too.
I think like to answer how I think you've influenced my life, I think
Okay.
you've taught me so much empathy for people. You've taught me generosity, you know, like to think about other people and not be selfish. And, you know, I donate to charities and I do things for other people when I can because I don't want to be selfish with my money and I want to give back to people. And you've taught me that. Taught me compassion. You've taught me, I guess, loyalty. Yeah, of course, like I've got my business mind from you as well. But I think like there's so many like core values as a person that I've really learned from you, and I'm so grateful to you for
And
those.
I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of I forget that about myself.
Yeah.
But that is something that is just so important to me.
Yeah.
And I sent you to Catholic school for all those years. And that part of that was so you would develop those core values.
I mean, I think
kindness.
you taught me more than the school.
I'm
did,
sure.
but-
But yeah, it is. I mean, because I'm not saying you put other people first, but I will always give as much as I can. And I try not to hurt people. I'm not saying I don't hurt people. Nobody can go through life saying they haven't hurt people. And I have hurt people, and I'm really sorry for that. But certainly in the last 10 years, at least, it's such an important thing to me to go out of my way not to hurt anyone and to do as much as I can for someone, anyone.
Okay, so sort of to wrap up the questions, I've been doing this new thing where I ask the previous guest to ask the next guest a question. So my previous guest, which was Ali, who's my social media strategist,
I thought it might have been Henry.
Oh God. No, he's actually his wasn't that bad.
Okay.
But this is a very funny question to ask your mother. And it's going to be interesting because it's going to be so long ago. It'll be like in the Jurassic period. So I'm not even going to know who you're talking about.
God.
So
I'm not that old, by the way.
the question is, what was your sexual awakening? And you're not going to know what that means. So to give you some context, a sexual awakening, could be you watched a movie when you were in your teen years and you went, oh my God, I'm so attracted to that man. So for me, I watched the live action Peter Pan, and Peter Pan was so hot.
Are you serious?
He was so hot. Keep in mind, I was like 8. No, I would have been 10 and he would have been 14. So it was fine at the time. And I was like, oh my God, he's so hot. And that's when I really was like, oh my God, I like men.
Oh.
So what was yours?
Oh. I think I was a very late bloomer. That's the
Okay.
other
So you
thing
might have
people
been like
don't
16 or
understand.
something. Like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
would
yeah.
it have been for you?
You mean like a crush maybe?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. I had a massive crush on a boy.
Was he what type, like you knew him in person?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Does that not count?
It's meant to be like fun, like in a movie or a TV show or something like that.
Okay.
Surely. I feel like everyone's got one.
I just can't remember them.
Oh.
I mean, when I think of my crushes, I think of
People.
like
Maybe you weren't like into
Matthew
TV. I mean,
McConaughey.
actually, TV probably wasn't invented back then.
oh my lord. And even film, I don't know.
Would have been black and white, so it's hard to tell.
my God. I mean, not that I think it now, but maybe John Travolta, maybe.
Okay, yeah, fair. Back in the day, he was all right.
What's his name? Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good ones.
Not now.
Not now, yeah. Although,
No, not for me.
okay.
All
right.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Is that more like it?
That's better. Yep, I like that. Now, you need to ask a question for the next guest, not knowing who they are. So it could be any question. We don't know if they're OnlyFans workers or we don't know. So
Can I ask something like, when did you first enjoy sex? Is that a question?
yeah, you can ask that. When did
Because
you?
like that doesn't mean the first time you had sex.
Okay, I see what you mean. So
Yes.
yeah, the first time that you
'Cause
enjoyed
they're very
sex.
different things.
That's
in
true.
my mind.
Yeah, fair.
Don't know about you, but
Yeah, no, definitely.
yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to send me a DM, request any guests to come on the pod, make sure you head to my Instagram. It's annieknight.unhinged with no I in night.
And I have an Instagram.
Go ahead, Mum. Take it away.
Karen Lee Knight @gmail.
No, that's your Instagram. Like your Instagram. You just know what it is. Her Instagram is Karen Lee Knight. So go give her a follow.
And don't say anything mean.
Don't say anything mean because she's
Oh,
a
you
softie.
can, because I know you're going to.
Anyway, thank you for joining the pod, Mum.
Love you.
Love you. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Update on Annie Knight.
So I've seen online that someone by the name of Annie Knight are coming to the Gold Coast for schooling.
You and Annie Knight are getting deported from Fiji.
Unhinged.
So unhinged.
Hey guys, they were talking about Annie Knight, who has been labeled Australia's most promiscuous woman.
This shit unhinged?